Hey guys, I'm back at it with another video, and today we're going to be learning how to do a walking bass on the piano. We're going to be starting super simple, and then in the next video we're going to be amping it up a little bit. So let me start with a quick demonstration. This is what you're going to be able to do at the end of this video. Okay, awesome. So let's start off with the basics. We're going to be playing the root note of the chord that we're playing. Okay, so let's look at Autumn Leaves for an example, as it's a very well-known tune. We're going to be doing it in C major. So the first chord is D minor. So let's just start with playing a D in our left hand. And then the next chord is going to be G7. So then we're going to play a G with our left hand. And now you're thinking, but how do we fill that space in between the D and the G? Well, let's start off with doing this thing called two feel, which is basically playing minims. So the chords are going like this. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So there's one chord per bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1. And 4 crotchet beats in each bar. So what a walking bass would be is playing each of those crotchets in the bass. But we're going to start off with this thing called two feel, which means there's 2 notes in the bar, and they are minims. We have loads of options here. So we're trying to get from D to G. That's an option. That's an option. That's an option. That's also an option. So let me just run through those. We've got a diatonic approach, which would be just the note that's below the G in the scale. So just leading up with an F. And then we could diatonically approach from above. So we could play the 5th of D, which is A, and just hop down a tone to G. We can approach chromatically from beneath, so that would sound like this. We can also approach chromatically from above, and this is also called a tritone substitution. So the reason that's a tritone substitution is because that is a tritone away from D. So if we were to play D7, the tritone above our arrival, which is G, doubles up as an A flat 7. The note above our arrival note, that's G, is A flat, and that is a tritone away from D. So the same chord works for that A flat 7 chord. Okay, so that's all our options for two feel. Now let me go through the A section of Autumn Leaves just using two feel and comping in the right hand. Okay, and then right at the end, I started doing walking bass. So now let's convert that two feel we were just talking about into a full walking bass. So it's a very similar idea. We're essentially just filling the space and thinking about the rhythms. So there's lots of notes that work, especially the tonic, the fifth, every note in the triad of the chord. So say we're looking at D minor 7. D works, F works, A works, even C works, which is the 7th. So that's an option. Play a triad and then a chromatic leading note, or the full arpeggio of the D minor 7. Sounds a little bit like a computer, but it works. It gets you through. And then we've got a fully chromatic leading phrase, or a chromatic enclosure. You know, that's much more angular, and that's obviously less diatonic, but it also sounds great. Finding the perfect walking bass line is like finding a happy medium between fast rhythms, slow rhythms, more diatonic and less diatonic pathways. And you can think of them as roads that lead home in a way. So you can if you think of your house, for example, I'm sure there are multiple roads that can take you from wherever you are now to get home to your house. So if we just think of a walking bass line like that, you know, we've got quite a few options. And then we've got some that don't. We've got some roads that don't lead home. So it's not infinite. It is finite, but you're not completely limited to one route. All you're limited by is the notes that are on the piano, really, and the rhythm that you need to fill the phrase. So if I could summarize this idea of a walking bass, I would say that the priority is rhythm. That's the number one thing that we need to think about. Even though we need to know what notes work and what notes sound good, I feel like we always need to prioritize rhythm, because if we're helping whoever else we're playing with, we're going to be wanting to guide them into the downbeat. We're going to want them to know where the downbeat is. We're going to want to know where the downbeat is. So ideally, quite a lot of the time, we're going to be ending on the downbeat and beginning our phrase on the downbeat. And then sometimes we can spice it up a little bit by adding rhythmic variations. So let's look at some other ways we can get through the full walking bass. So we've got the arpeggio idea we talked about. We could also just limit it to 1 and 5. That always sounds great. So say we've got D minor going to G. How about just playing D, A, and D? That was all the chords, just 1 and 5. It works, it's fine. It's a little bit basic, but it does work. And actually, if you listen to a lot of disco records, that's pretty much all the bass line is, the 1 and the 5. Mostly just the 1 in a rhythmic way, because the bass and the drums are very interconnected. So it's, as I say, it's much more about rhythm than it is about notes. So let's look at this. Let's look at this classic rising bass line that is very popular among jazz musicians. So this one is where we start on the 1 and we walk up diatonically. And in order to get that 4th note in, we add a note that isn't diatonic. We add this sharpened 3rd thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So we went up the scale and then we just added in a major 3rd as well. So a chromatic leading note. And then we can do this exact same thing with every single chord in Autumn Leaves. So let me give you an example of that. Sounds a bit funny, but oh, I didn't do it then. You know, so that would be the idea. So just the bass by itself would sound like this. You know, we just rose all the way. I didn't take it down an octave then, just to give you the full demonstration of how it would sound to just be riding every single time. So a really good bass player manages to combine all these different ways of arriving at the new chord in a really tasteful way that doesn't get in the way of any other musicians in the band and doesn't throw anyone off, isn't too complex so it's too confusing for the audience where they can't feel where the beat is, but also not too simple so it sounds like a machine. So it's actually a great art to be a bass player, and I myself am no expert at all. I have just taught myself how to do a more pianistic version for solo and duo gigs, but it works. You can get through it, and this is the basics. So there's a quick overview of how to play a walking bass on the piano and how to play two-feel. In the next video, we're going to be talking slightly more about different variations and different roots, and also left hand and right hand independence, so we can do things like improvise whilst we're playing walking bass in our left hand. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got some value from this video, and leave any comments if you've got any questions or suggestions. And thanks again for listening. See you guys. Bye.